Hello, everybody. Patricio.
There we go. We are. We are live. We are you're listening to the Rusty Nut Show right here on 99.9 FM, AM810, with yours truly and Mr. Gabriel Garcia of the Auto Angel, the Rusty Nut himself. And Gabe, I always, every once in a while, like to ask people or let people know why they call you the Rusty Nut.
Because you can't be rusty without having some años, man. You got to be poco viejo to get rust. So the tractor out in the field's been there a long time, and that's why it's so rusty. So that's what it is. I've been in this industry 33 years at this point. So let's talk about it a little bit. Those of you who just fell on the dial right now, you're listening to the Rusty Nut Show, and the mission of this show is to educate people how to maintain and keep their second largest investment in front of the tow truck. That second largest investment being your automobile, second only to what, Patricio?
Second only to your home.
Yeah, so your houses are 100, 200 grand, and then, you know, your vehicles are going to be now up to 100 grand if you buy one of those dually 4-door power stroke vehicles. So anyway, moving forward, the purpose of the show is to help you get educated on how to spend your hard-earned dollars. This is a show that's, you know, constantly an attitude of gratitude. So special thank you to the Gonzalez family, you included, Patricio, for, you know, giving shows like this a voice. So you guys do the water show, you guys do the DWI show, all these things that apply to Northern New Mexico and its listeners. Thank you so much for giving all these small shows a voice. And then we want my team here at the Auto Angel. Without them, I wouldn't be able to take the time away from my work to be on this show with you. I think this show is very important, but again, you know, they gave me the freedom to do that. So special thanks to David, Antonio, Todd, Emilio, Adan, Norma, Owen. And then we got a new voice here at the Auto Angel, Shelby. She just started with us today. So those of you calling here in the coming weeks will be hearing Shelby's voice on the phone. So thank you, or welcome, Shelby, to the Auto Angel, your new home. We always got to say hi to the most important people. Patricio, you better say hi to your esposa, brother.
Yep. I want to say hi to Carmela, to, of course, there's Gabriel. What's so funny, man?
She's not listening to you.
She listens all the time. So do her brothers. Her brothers always
she hears your voice. She just goes, rah, 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 rah.
Her brothers would call me out all the time, too, when I ask you a dumb question or something, you know. So, no. Of course, my mom, and want to say hi to my Uncle Johnny and Aunt Georgia and familia, all my tias and tios. Good morning. Thank you for listening.
To my mom. And then I owe my mom a belated happy birthday. Her birthday was last week, and she scolded me for not wishing her a happy birthday, you know, on the radio. So better late than never. Happy birthday, Mom. I really didn't think that she wanted me to announce it on the radio, though. You know, I figured she was keeping it incognito.
So you didn't forget it. You just didn't know whether she wanted you to blab it out over the radio.
Worried that, like, you know, maybe DMV will show up and take her license away or something. If they
know not her. She's a good driver, brother.
Anyway, now we get into I got to say hi to Summer. Summer's off for a couple of weeks before school starts. Hello, Summer, and her beautiful mom, Carolina.
Better do that.
Got to say hi to the Suegra Rose. Thank you for giving me your daughter over there at Santa Maria 20-some years ago. Let's get into the red, white, and blue thank you. This is to all enlisted servicemen and women, active duty, stateside, abroad, reservists, veterans, and most of all the families that support these brave men and women. You know, without them, this is the greatest country in the world. We wouldn't have the freedom. And, you know, our greatest freedom, Patricio, is the freedom to choose our attitude. You didn't see that?
I like that.
You know, it was Henry Ford that used to say, whether you believe you can do it or you can't do it, you're probably right.
Well, smart man, Henry Ford. And of course, you know, Gabriel, you were talking about attitude of gratitude and the red, white, and blue. And, you know, I think I saw a press release that we have some of our, I think it's the Atalaya fire crew, that they're up in Idaho. And so we're talking about the red, white, and blue, those that put on the uniform. We're very appreciative for our firefighters. We know that they're in California, Oregon, Idaho, there's all kinds of crazy fires. But I know I saw, like I said, Atalaya fire crew from here in San Fe, they're up there in Idaho. So
special thanks to what they're doing, helping keep, you know, all those structures and families and everybody out of harm's way, and they're putting their lives on the line. So we're very grateful to all those first responders. And I know that's dear to you because you got a couple of family members that are first responders. So we definitely owe a lot of gratitude to all of them. We like to do a blue collar thank you. Azul Gracias. This is going out to house painters today. Loud and proud shout out to the Ortiz familia, Andy and his son. Brian, thank you so much for all that you do out there. Thanks for not letting the paint run. And then even Albert Wheeler, he raised his whole family earning every dollar by painting. And so a special shout out to all those house painters out there. I mean, they're on ladders. People, painting, we all have done it and we all think it's easy, but we do it wrong. I mean, these guys are meticulous. They do it correctly, not only choosing the right paint that's going to stick to the surface correctly, prepping the surface so it doesn't look terrible. I mean, there's so much involved in it, and these guys are pros.
Yeah, well, you left out one very important thing that's involved in painting: patience. Patience. Because you gotta, like you say, it's meticulous. You gotta sit there and tape. You gotta go over there and sand. You gotta go over there and make sure. So to me, that takes patience, and I don't know. I don't got patience. So that's a good shout out you did today.
My dad used to say, because he was a builder, Garcia Construction for 30 years. He said you could tell a good painter by the brush because he only had paint on the first quarter inch of the brush. The rest, the handle and everything was clean. He said that was a good painter.
Yeah.
When I got more paint everywhere. I'm the reason they invented drop clouds, bro, because I do errores.
There you go.
Right on. Let's keep going. So we'll do a Queovo of the day. More of this real quick before we get busy. To Los Garcias, de la Cañada de los Álamos, the Pradas, the Martinezes. There's even a sawmill out there, the Diamante sawmill I saw.
Cañada? I didn't know there was one out there.
No, La Cañada de los Álamos. If you drive up there, bro, you'll see it. There's a sign and everything. So to all the people out there earning a living, thank you so much. And then we'll get into, you have one more Queovo of the day. You want to do Ranger, or who are you going to
be? Of course, there's Ranger from the new Old Trail Santa Fe garage right there. Bam! Ranger and Joe. You got to say hi to them. Old Faithful, Ron and Angela Chavez. They listen to us all the time, Ron and Angela. And, of course, Benny. Good morning. Good morning to Jeff Halley of the Halley Insurance Agency. Good people. And I saw Rick and Ron City Baca this weekend, a Big Joe True Value Hardware.
Nice.
And Lee Garcia. I saw Lee Garcia this weekend.
Well, I heard about that on the radio. Your brother mentioned he saw him over there at the Battle of the Bands or some kind of band movie, though.
Yeah. There was the Battle of the Bands going on. Di and Asher, they perform, man. They're tough.
Ooh, suave. I dig that. That's carrying on the family tradition there. Yeah. All right. We go to Norma to the Spanglish lesson of the day.
And while we're going to Norma, we want to thank Advanced Auto Parts, proud sponsors of this great show. And, of course, the Auto Angel, Gabriel Garcia and his familia, his staff there. They put on a great show. Good morning, Norma. Buenos días, le Dios. How are you?
Muy bien, muy bendecidos aquí de estar con todos ustedes. Esperemos que en sus casas estén bien y contentos de empezar hoy martes.
Qué bueno, gracias a Dios. Y la palabra de hoy, la Spanglish word today?
Gearbox. A ver,
Gearbox.
Gearbox. ¿Sabe cómo se dice?
Una caja de los gears.
Es la caja de cambios.
Caja de cambios, ok.
Ajá, y podemos decir, por ejemplo, la caja de cambios de la camioneta se atora en la segunda velocidad.
Oh, I know that one. The gearboxes, the gears get stuck in second gear.
Yes, correct. ¿Ah? Y mi alumno preferido.
Yo estoy muy
puro A+. Carmen,
inteligente.
Escucha. Puro A+ para Patricio, ¿ok?
Yo tengo una manzana para ti, maestra.
Ok, muy bien. Cuídense. Chao.
Okay.
Those big old orejas are good for something, bro.
Darn right, brother. La envidia, brother. La envidia mata más gente que cancer, bro.
Envidia time. All right, brother. Let's walk.
Gabriel, pero the thing is, with a face like mine, I don't got to wear a beard. You know what I mean?
I don't get it.
You didn't think that was funny, huh?
I don't get it.
You didn't like that one. Okay, vamos. Anyway, also, those of you listening, those of you watching, we're on social media, right, Bubba? Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and, of course, live on 99.9 FM and AM 810. Dale.
Ándale. So let's going to get in today's topic. Again, this show's supposed to be all this fun aside. We're going to educate the listeners about vehicles. We're going to talk about leaks today. So leaks come in all forms. on vehicles, and we're going to start off with the one that'll take the largest, most powerful. It doesn't matter if it's an airplane, a tractor, a truck. If your tire has a leak, you're in trouble. So you could take $100,000 vehicle and a little tiny nail dropped by some roofer somewhere on the road leaves you stranded. You know, it doesn't matter if you have cell phones or AAA or what you got, your day is still ruined over a punctured tire. So leaks in tires. Let's talk about how do you find them. The number one, remember this show targets vehicles that are 12 years old on average. Most of these vehicles have tire pressure monitor systems, which means the sensor will turn the light on the dash, indicating to the driver that there's a low tire. The newer they get, the more accurate they are about the actual tire pressure that's in that tire. So you pull up to Lee Garcia's shop, Garcia Tire there on Airport Road, tire pressure monitor lights on. How's he going to find the leak? Obviously, the fastest way is to look at the tire. And a lot of times with your eyeballs, you can pinpoint, oh, there's a nail right there, or a screw, or whatever it is. I even had a client come up the other day with a wrench in the darn thing.
So,
oh yeah, she ran over it somewhere. But anyway, the reality is that your eyeballs will help you a lot. But what we've learned by experience, and what Lee might, probably do again from experience, would be once you take that tire off, you fill it full of air enough so that it leaks. And then usually most professional entities have some way of soaking that tire in water, dunking it. If not the whole tire, at least a section at a time. And what you're looking for is the air bubbles as the air escapes. The reason this is worth talking about is if a shop doesn't do that, we've found tires with more than one leak. It's not uncommon for that roofer to drop 4 nails instead of 1 nail. Mm-hmm. So your tire could pick up multiple, and one of them might already come out. So all I'm getting at here with this story is checking it before you fix it is really good practice. Diagnosing that tire first, and that's why you listeners go out to a tire shop, and you might point it out. I saw there's a screw there, but it's in their best interest if they check it. So if they're checking it even after you told them, they know what they're doing. Now let's get into how to fix it. Fixing a tire is something that should be done professionally, especially in today's modern vehicles, because there's so much at stake. A wheel's, $800 maybe or more. So let's talk about that. The best way to fix the tire is going to be not only to plug the hole, but also to patch it. So now they make patch plugs where it's built in one. So,
really?
Yeah. So in order to fix it, the tire has to come off the wheel. So wheel comes off the car, then the tire machine is used to break down the tire, remove the tire from the wheel, and then it can be patch plugged from the inside out. And the beauty of that is that the water can't enter the hole that was made from whatever punctured the tire. So you're plugging it, but you're actually patching it from the inside also. Follow?
I didn't know that, but it's like you said, you got to let the professionals handle it, especially something like that. And you invest so much money, not only in your vehicle, but also in your tires. So it's well worth it. And the big thing that I always say when I'm talking about Garcia Tires and Lee and them, you want to find a company because your family's riding in your vehicle. So you want to, forget your car, but you got your family riding in, and then you don't want to cause an accident or hurt anybody else outside of the car.
There you go. So don't be cheap on the
statement. Give me some credit. Profound statement.
You get 100% credit. And I'm glad that you spoke up about that the reality is safety first. And that's why having a professional entity fix your tire is critical. Tires now even come as noise reduced tires. So there's, some people driving around. We had a Tesla in here recently and it had a puncture. So even your electric car drivers are not, immune to having a flat tire or being stranded. So here you are back at a repair facility with your electric car. And it turns out those tires have noise reduction tires in them. And they actually have a piece of foam that's with adhesive basically glued on the inside of the tire, the width of the tread. And the whole purpose of it is just to make the tires quieter. Boom! What do you think of that, Patricio?
Well, I was wondering about, do you think they have something like that to make a radio air personality quieter too?
we could wrap foam around your head.
We're not saying you. It could be you. It could be Bubba, Esteban. It could be, Josh.
Anyway,
I don't know.
we could wrap foam around Patricio's spare tires. See if he gets quiet.
There you go. That'd be around my panza, bro.
There we go. So let's get into to you ruin it yourselfers out there, stop leaks. When it comes to tires, right now we're on the tire leak subject. Stop
I'd
leak.
say no bueno. I'm going to say right now, stop leak, no bueno, unless you're stranded in the mountains.
There you go. So we're talking about emergencies. If you read the can, it probably going to say somewhere on there that, it's really supposed to be a temporary emergency type service or repair, not a repair, but a patch basically to get it fixed correctly. If you have a spare tire that can be installed, that's always a better choice, because then the shop dealing with your repair doesn't have to deal with the glue that comes out of that can. And you have a tire pressure monitor sensor inside there that's $150 maybe on some cars, maybe more by the time it's installed and programmed, and you went and coated it with this stop leak. Probably would have been cheaper to get it towed. So anyway, not a big fan of stop leaks, tire pressure, or no tire repair. I think they have their place. I think in an emergency kit and in the event of you having no choice, to get home and not ruin the wheel on a tire, it might serve its purpose, but better to use a spare tire or to have it fixed correctly.
Hey, and then one other thing, if people hear, and this happened to Carmela last week, when you hear something in your car, like on your tire, like when you get on the road, or say you take off and you drive off and you hear like maybe a pebble or a rock stuck in your tire, you should stop and check, because that happened to Carmela where she had a roofing nail in the tire as well. And
that's the same vato that's been going to all the neighborhoods, bro. All the ladies here with nails in their tire are from the same vato, I think.
Well, this one was an old one, but instead of driving, I think it's better to. I thought, and so I took it off and took it to get it fixed. You know what I mean? I didn't. We just turned around and parked the car, and I took it off and took it and got it fixed. Because
I think you should be asking where she's been driving around, where this roofer's been. That's what I want to know.
Construction, I think.
I want to know how come I've had a lot of ladies pull up with nails in their tire, and they're all from the same bottle.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, next week.
Don Juan's Roofing. Anyway, let's get into oil leaks next. Next leak is oil leaks. So this what I'm going to talk about. When I say oil, we're going to say any petroleum fluid parts. So like engines, transmissions, differentials, transfer case. It doesn't matter if it's gas or diesel engines, they leak. So that's the biggest thing that people are dealing with. So you go in usually for an oil change or something, and you'll end up finding out that you have a leak. So the rusty nut certified opinion is that if it leaks fluid, that particular fluid should be low. So that means that it should reflect on the item. So let's say you got an engine oil leak. Well, then the dipstick should be low. There should be less oil because it's leaking out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And it seems like logical, but we end up meeting a lot of clients that went somewhere for an oil change, were told they had an oil leak, and so in some cases, most cases, refused the oil change. Come in here and they say, my vehicle is somewhere, and they said it needs a rear main seal. That's the favorite word everybody has, leaking from the rear main seal or the main seal. And come to find out, my first question is, have you noticed puddles where you park? And a lot of people, no, nothing on my garage floor. Okay, well, then it probably doesn't have a big leak. Next is, let's check the level. It's full. Did anybody add oil? No. All right, now wait a minute. Does it really have a leak, or does it sweat, or is it wet from something? Or maybe it's not the engine at all. So that's where more investigating needs to be done. And for a lot of you listening, that's why I wanted to target this subject, is it's frustrating. You'll have one professional entity tell you have an oil leak, and you'll have another one explain to you that maybe you don't have an oil leak. Maybe you have a power steering fluid leak, or maybe it's, transmission fluid leak, something else. It's still, the professional entity could see from the bottom that something's wet, but the way these fluids can travel and spread, they need to be diagnosed properly. So how do we diagnose them? I think another rusty nut certified opinion is that, a cheap free guess is going to be more expensive than a professional diagnosis. So how do we diagnose them? The best thing to do is wash that vehicle's, whatever it is, the suspect. So if you think it's engine oil leaking, then wash it. And by washing it, I mean, we use a pressure washer, some degreaser, get it clean so that you can really look at it and not misdiagnose it. The next thing we want to do is use ultraviolet dye. So we buy bottles of dye that are about the size of an aspirin bottle or smaller. And that dye we mix with the engine oil, and then we can run the engine, and then we can use a black light to identify where it's coming out. Follow?
I like that. I like that. Hey, and real quick, like a car that may have an engine leak, say their power steering fluid is low or their brake fluid is low, does that necessarily mean they might have a leak on those two, power steering or brake, or could it be they're just using them and they haven't been refilled?
So that could go both ways. More often than not, a vehicle that has a leak, especially brakes, let's target that real quick since you said that word, brake fluid. If you have a brake fluid leak, your foot that you step on the brakes with would probably tell you, because it would be scary, meaning the pedal gets really soft, really low, and the brakes don't work. So it's not very common to have a brake fluid leak that the driver doesn't know about already.
Okay.
Now, as far as power steering fluids, etc., it can be that they seep or sweat. So again, we're talking a 12-year-old car. All of them are going to allow some fluid to escape. That's why they make it to where you can add fluids. That's why you go in for service to get the fluids topped off or maintained. So it's not abnormal for it to be a little bit low. Let's say it's low 2 tablespoons in power steering. Not a big deal. They top it off. It's not really a leak that warrants diagnosis or repair. And that's where the conversation has to come in, because what I'm really trying to make sure that people learn from this is that if you're going to buy an oil leak repair, you want it professionally diagnosed. And one of the major concerns there is how much fluid is it really losing, meaning how much are you having to add or monitor. In our industry, we call that an oil consumption test. That means that we would bring you in, maybe wash it, add ultraviolet dye to the oil, make sure it's full, drive it, recheck it, no leaks. Okay, it's got a seep, obviously. Send the customer away for, let's say, the first week. Have them come back, write down the mileage, check the dipstick. No, it hasn't lost any. Until they have to add fluid. Once we have to add some, then it leaked now or used it. Now is worth checking. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So if we end up identifying the source of that leak, now we have to talk to a customer. And so those of you listening, if you're about to buy a repair and you have a 12-year-old vehicle, plus or minus, got 100 to 200,000 miles on it, and you're about to spend, let's say, $1,000 or more on that leak, this means that the hard-earned money that you spent is probably guaranteed by that shop to make it stop dripping. But what's going to be that you need to know, what you really need to know is that you're still going to have to monitor the oil level. It's not abnormal for that car to still need a quart between oil changes. So you might have just parted with $1,000 or more for a rear main seal, and that shop professional entity could prove to you that it used to drip, but it doesn't drip anymore. So now you're not staining your driveway, but you come in, next oil change is still a quart low. It's like, I thought I told you to fix that leak. It has nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, fluids are going to go to the point of least resistance. Does that make sense? So like a garden hose, if it's easier for it to leak out at the fitting instead of out of the nozzle when you squeeze it, yeah, you're going to get your pantalones all wet because it has a leak. So the fluid comes out where it's easiest. Oil is no different. If they stop that rear main seal from leaking oil, it might burn more oil now because it's actually easier for it to come out through between the rings, maybe. So without getting too confused, I just want people to know that make sure that you understand what your expectations are. Ask the questions. You know, if I pay you $1,000 to stop this leak, am I still going to have to add oil? And their answer should be, it might still need oil, yes, because there's other reasons. Or it might develop another leak because they stopped where it was coming out. That was easy.
And speaking of oil and all that other stuff, but real quick, I want to thank Advanced Auto Parts, proud sponsors of this great show right there on Siler Road. Good people. Stop on by. If you have little things that you need to get fixed there at your vehicle, they have it all. So also, Gabe, and I think some people may not have an oil leak if their car is, I don't want to say if it's burning oil, or because I know that in one of the vehicles I have, you know, you've changed the oil, and before the next oil change, I've checked the oil and it's been low, and you've checked it, and sometimes they just, I don't know if it's burn or use more, the correct term, you know what I mean, nowadays.
It burned it. There's no doubt about it.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the engine's bad.
Correct.
Is that correct?
We've talked about this a million times, and I'm going to validate it one more time to help all of you out there listening why it is your new car it has a dipstick. The hood opens with no tools, right? So you don't need to have tools to open the hood to your car. You don't need tools to take off the oil cap. It's made to fit in your fingers or your hand, designed for the operator. the dipstick typically has a hole for your finger to grab it, or a handle for your hand to grab it. They're usually bright yellow or orange. They say oil right on them. And you can buy oil even at Albertsons. That all those clues should help you just kind of, I guess, accept the fact that they don't make an internal combustion engine that will not use some oil between services.
Very good. See? Did you see that on the screen? Profound question. You know what? Thank you, Bubba. Somebody got to give me credit.
Hey, you want to keep going with another leak, or are we done?
Well, you didn't say that the show is powered by Whistleberries. Thank you, Bubba.
Especially on a Tuesday.
Yeah, there you go. That we got about 4 minutes. No, right, make it 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Right, let's do a 3-minute coolant leak. So when I use the word coolant, I'm referring to antifreeze. That's the fluid that you might even say water. Antifreeze, coolant. Prestón is what my suegra will say. So if it's leaking some Prestón, that means it's got a coolant leak. The obvious way to find a coolant leak is going to be, you can see it coming out of a hose with your eyeballs. It might be squirting out, might be steaming out, but the best way, the Rusty Nut Certified, is going to be that it gets a professional pressure test from a professional entity. Now, pressure test is dangerous. I mean, you're talking about like the pressure cooker on the stove. You don't go open that thing when it's rattling, the frijoles are trying to get out. You wait till it cools down, or you cool it down to open it. The same goes for your radiator and the cooling system. Is a professional entity would open it correctly and safely, then they put a tool on it and they pressurize it. And why that's so important is it may be obvious that it's leaking from one spot or the other, but with the correct amount of pressure for the right amount of time, a second and or a third leak might be identified, and that might slow down the frustration and basically just ensure that the car gets fixed right the first time.
I like it. Very good. That's the coolant.
Coolant, antifreeze.
How about, could you have about 2 minutes?
Okay.
Can an engine, a leak come from the engine itself? Not like, do you know what I mean? Like pop a hole right through the engine?
So there are, you got to remember, most of the engines are built with a process of casting, meaning it was a molten metal before it was formed or poured into a cast, made into the shape that it is. So it's cast iron or cast aluminum or whatever. When they do that process, they use some type of silica or sand or something to make the passageways. And we have seen where an engine can have a fault in that. And so, I know my sister, I'm going to say a shout out to my sister Susana. She bought a brand new vehicle. I won't name the brand name, but it came less than 4,000 miles. It got diagnosed as having a cracked engine block, brand new. They didn't even get a chance to really use it. And, of course, that manufacturer did everything right. They ordered them, they put them in a loaner car and ordered them a brand new engine, put it in, and they're back on the road, and they didn't really miss a beat. But to answer your question, yes. I mean, it is a machine that's made by humans, and it can ultimately fail.
Very good. Very good. Are you airing your sobacos out or what? Anyway.
I'm enjoying it.
Very good. Very good. Anything else? We got about 60 seconds.
All right. So leaks happen, and stop leaks don't fix it. I had a client one time that was in a rush, asked us to pour in some power steering stop leak that they bought. And I was impressed because it was pouring out. And I poured this stuff in, and it was thick like honey, right? They even call it motor honey or something like that, is a term we use in this industry. So this was for power steering fluid. And it was a Ford Taurus way back in the day. And then no, bad news to Ford. It was just a leak. It was a car had a ton of miles on it. We poured this leak in, stop leaking, and it worked. She got all the way to catch her plane in Albuquerque. That was the big deal, right? Pulls into the parking lot there underneath where you park your car to get on an airplane. And right then and there, it blew up, and it made a puddle the size of the car. And, needless to say, she wasn't really happy. And she kind of expressed that to me, that maybe I should have warned her that. So here I am warning everybody that, if you use any kind of stop leak, be prepared for it to let go at any point, anytime. It's not designed to be a permanent fix. It got her where she wanted to go, but she had a big mess to deal with when she got back.
Very good. Hey, the Rusty Nut Show heard every Tuesday here at 10:30. Gabriel Garcia of the Auto Angel. Gracias. Profound information. We want to thank Advanced Auto Parts You can reach Gabriel at 424-3899. God bless you, Gabriel. You have a good one.
Thank you, hermano. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Bye, Mom.